Hello, 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 and happy evening. Friday's Eve. I am Marcia Guerriere. Welcome to Her Sweet Spot Live. We are live streaming today, coming to you for the first time on a Thursday evening, and I'm so excited to have my partner in crime, Natasha Nurse, joining me. Natasha.
Hi. Woohoo! How are you?
I am so well. We have Sweet Mates streaming in all areas of social. We are live on Facebook, we are live on LinkedIn, and we are live on YouTube and
Woohoo!
inside Her Sweet Spot Network. If you are watching us live, please give us a shout out. Tell us where you're watching from. What you doing up so late? Because I call it late, right?
Very nice.
I want to hear from you guys, my sweet mates out there. If you're watching, give us a sweet mate shout out. Let me introduce you all to my guest. Miss Natasha Nurse is a coach, speaker, and content creator. She started Dressing Room 8 to provide a web based resource for women to gain personal professional empowerment through her fashion and lifestyle focused blog and coaching services. Natasha focuses her coaching on media, career, and accountability. Lastly, she is the co host for the innovative and entertaining podcast called Woke and Free. Did I say it right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, Woke and Free. And may I add, Natasha Nurse is a longtime friend and has been a ride or die sweet mate inside her sweet spot for a number of years. She will be joining us this year for the eighth annual
Yeah.
HerRise Conference 2021, the virtual experience again, part deux, I should say. We are we're going virtual again for a second year, you know, till the world gets it right. Trying to keep
Yeah,
myself safe, right? Trying to keep my
absolutely.
son safe. You have a new baby boy now.
Yes, yes.
Please, Natasha, tell us how you doing in this time. I know it's been a while since you and I've been streaming together. Tell
Yeah.
everybody anything new and exciting about the world of Natasha Nurse.
Yeah, I guess you called it like hit it right on the head, which is like becoming a mother. I gave birth to or had a, yes, gave birth via C-section to my son, Khalil Jordan Nurse, KJ. And he is, the light of my life. He is my literal heart on the outside. You fall in love with children, but when you have your own, it's an immense and deeply moving love that I don't think you're even prepared for. And he was 9 pounds 3 ounces and is now, going on probably 20 pounds.
You can't. They say the pandemic babies are not normal, and he is definitely a pandemic baby.
He is. He's, yeah, 3 months old this week. And he is, yeah, I mean, he's like 3 months going on 32 years old. Like he's
Yeah,
telling me my business and
yeah,
asking me for decaf coffee.
yeah.
It's quite bizarre. So,
Talking and all the jazz. Natasha, I know it's an exciting time for you being
yeah.
a new mom, adding that to all the things that you already do. This year's topic for the HerRise conference is Dare Her. Would
Mm,
you dare her to take on motherhood, entrepreneurship,
mm.
full-time employee, wife, a cat, and a dog? Would
Yeah.
you dare her to do all of this, Natasha?
I would say yes, but be ready for what that dare and that challenge is because it is a challenge unlike any other. But I would say that, even though motherhood is challenging and it is really difficult to quote unquote balance it all, it's the most rewarding and beautiful and challenging thing you'll ever experience. And it forces you to rise up in a whole new level. I have to be a whole new version of accomplishment for myself and in a way that I didn't think I could or would
Yeah,
before. And also, it's taught me a lot of like opportunities to just give myself more grace because when you are a mother, you can't work the same, right? You have to work a little bit different. So
Yeah.
you have to be patient with yourself, patient with your baby, and patient with life, right? And at the end of the day, work is always going to be there, so don't forget to enjoy those moments, those precious moments with your little one or your loved ones, while also, keep daring yourself to achieve, to dream, and to take no prisoners.
And trust and believe me, when they get older, it doesn't get easier.
Oh,
And many new moms are always like, and I was one of them. Oh, when
yeah.
is he gonna talk to tell me what to do? When is he gonna
Mhm.
want to go get it on his own? But then they start talking, you want them to slow it down. Then they start walking, and then you want them to stop climbing, stop moving, don't get it. It is
Yeah.
such a roller coaster of
Yeah.
emotions and thoughts, ideas, especially when you're A type, and
Yeah. Yeah.
things are planned. We're all about planning. One of the things we teach and we talked about today in her sweet spot lunch and learn session was all about time management today, Natasha.
Mm.
We talked about
Mm.
time wasters and really, procrastination and
Yeah.
prioritizing and really focusing on the things that are most important in your day. And that's what the HerRise conference is all about. It's all about bringing together like-minded women who are all
Mhm.
seeking to improve themselves, advance themselves as
Mm.
leaders and in entrepreneurship. And I'm so excited for this year's conference, even more excited for our panel that you and I
Yes.
will be on together with the
Yes.
Miss Aries Webb Williams, talking
Mhm.
about the power of
Yes. Yes. Yes.
podcasting.
Yes. Yes.
You know, you are you and your husband do a podcast together called WokeNFree, as I mentioned, and
Mhm.
you guys just really don't hold back. I
No.
love it. I can't wait to go dive deep into what made you so free and open to
Yeah.
create such a, what some would think is controversial, show, so you could bring real life topics that
Yeah.
wake people up and set them
Yeah.
free. you
Yeah.
know I'm excited.
Absolutely.
I'm
Well,
excited for
if
it.
people want the full answer, they obviously need to get a ticket to the conference. Go to HerSuiteSpot.com, right? And they can get their tickets there. And I would say a preview to that is just because similar kind of what you asked me, the Dare Her, we weren't seeing content that we create out there in the marketplace from
Right.
a couple, from millennials, from, a Black family, and we dared ourselves to be that voice that we weren't seeing out there. And
Yep.
more to come, like I said, at the conference. Get your tickets now.
I think
Immediately, this
if
minute.
anything, right? If anything, we learned, and most people have learned, and it's been so polarizing since the death of George Floyd and the
Yeah.
huge Black Lives Matters movement
Yeah.
that truly, truly was propelled out of a moment that the pandemic created for us
Mm-hmm.
to finally get heard and seen,
Mm.
and women
Yeah.
as well were able to lean into this moment, and not just lean into this moment. So many almost historical things happened in these past 2 years that it is pushing the diversity conversations a little further, and we're seeing so much change. And the HerRise Conference, we bring those discussions to
Yeah.
the table. We are for advancing women of color, but we certainly have cross over into such a diverse group of women that are interested at the end of
Mm-hmm.
the day in advancing women of color. We're not here to do it alone. We
Oh, yeah.
need our allies, we need our male supporters.
Mm-hmm.
It's important that we find safe spaces like Her Sweet Spot, like the HerRise Conference, to bring those conversations together. And Natasha, I want to talk to you a little bit about finding, you know, that grace you talked about earlier, and
Yeah.
still being able to balance. And we call it, so many people call it balance, call it harmonious living,
Mm-hmm.
whatever your woo woo word is
Yeah.
that you find. But what are some things that you think has helped you? How did you prepare yourself before you got into motherhood? I mean, you had 9 months, but and beyond, you knew for a long time, but in
Yeah.
that moment when you realize it's here,
Yeah.
the time is here. I got the bambino, and I'm about to be. Things will shift.
Yeah.
How did you prepare for that?
So I think first of all, it was, while pregnant, I was very adamant with myself that like, we've had these conversations privately, which is the idea that like, yes, I was pregnant. Yes, I was going to have a baby, but will my life change? Yes, but will it fall apart? No. Like I was very adamant about the fact that like my dreams still have to dream and continue onwards. And I still have to march forward. Even if I have to march different, I still got to march forward.
Yeah.
So a determination to keep moving forward. Also, ironically, before I got pregnant, I actually started waking up, as you know, at like 3 and 4 in the morning because I was like, oh, I should get prepared,
Yeah.
because you never know. The universe works in a very funny way that way. And, so I already started sleep deprivation cycle for myself. So that was just
Which
killing.
I advise you against. I advise you against. Don't do that to prepare. Sleep.
Yes, but it comes in handy when your newborn is screaming at you at 3 in the morning. Because if you're already used to waking up like that, you're just like, oh, okay, this is, it's just more robotic for yourself as opposed to as traumatic of an experience it really is.
Yeah.
So I started that. And then also just like being grounded in the fact that like this is what you want, right? Like, so me and my husband, have been together this month, 17 years together, over 8 years of marriage, so this baby is a long time coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, now that he's here, it's reaffirmation of the fact that like, look what we can create, look what we can do anything, right? So no matter how hard your day is, no matter how tired you are, there's always a little bit left in you to continue on. And, I always say like, this too shall pass. Like, so even in those like moments of like, he's screaming, there's poo on you, you got to do something else. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's upsetting. It's hard, but this moment too shall pass, right? You
Yeah.
wipe the poo off, you get him down, you take your clothes off for the 17th time, and you keep it moving. And also try to hold on to your humor because me and Khalil, like we laugh a lot in our household. But with a baby, you find yourself laughing even more.
Yeah.
Children
Yeah.
are really funny, and my son is like just really because he makes these like faces, and it's like my husband's like he's dramatic like you, and it's like well, obviously, I mean, come on, guys, great genes, clearly. But yeah, he'll look at me crazy. I look at him crazy. We have a great time. I tell him I love him. I tell him his mantra: "You're bold, you're beautiful, you're brilliant." And and you just take a deep breath, drink some water, keep it moving.
How has your why shifted, right? When you started your business and all the things that you
Yeah.
wanted to accomplish as an accomplished writer, writing for different magazines,
Yeah.
how has your why changed and how has your storytelling changed?
Oh, interesting. So my why is now not just self-interested, right? Like in the idea that like I want to be a voice in media, I want to be a voice in coaching, I want to be a voice in the women community, the entrepreneurship community, the Black community, because I want to be able to provide my insight and wisdom. But now as a mother, I always have to walk in this place in this world as two, right? As of right now, me and my son.
And a boy moms that is different because we
Yeah.
worry about our boys.
Yeah, exactly. And so everything I do isn't just for the enhancement of my mission, but it's also for the growth and opportunity for him. Right. And so I think I come from a place of like, I have more responsibility, but I also have the ownership and the onus of teaching him, the power of what womanness and womanhood is, because I want him to be a man who respects women. I want him to be a man who treasures the Black woman and understands Black girl magic is 1,000% real. Don't get it twisted.
Right.
And that the Black woman struggle is 1,000% real. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah. I think you're going to raise some of the best husbands later on. We're
Yeah.
teaching them now in a different way
Yeah.
that the previous generations have taught men,
Yeah.
right? And I think it's going
Exactly.
to only be phenomenal for their partners
Yeah.
and who they decide to be with later on in life. So with all of that,
Yeah.
being the writer that you are, you write for different magazines. You started off as fashion and lifestyle includes motherhood. But
Yeah.
how has your storytelling changed?
So that's interesting. I guess for me now, I start to think about more like home or parenting oriented types of content that I'm interested in either writing or consuming. I would also say, thinking about more of the details. I think sometimes like the Jamaican in me, my family's from Jamaica, and we can be very like rough and tough and just like I want to arrive at something. And now, right, like so much of my life is I can't necessarily get to the end zone as quickly as I want to on some things. I have to kind of wait and see and get there as it proceeds, right? And
Yeah.
so I would say also some thinking about how as a storyteller I can be a little bit more elaborate, how I can be a little bit more holistic in how I share a story or present the information, because there's always a story behind something, and you don't
Mhm.
want to miss out on those good opportunities to really resonate with your audience by bringing them a little bit longer to the water hole as opposed to just like running straight there, which is
Yeah.
what my general, efficiency, speed, and it's, we might, take a break before we get there.
Natasha, as we're talking, I'm like, there's so many areas of Natasha that I want to bring to the table, to the surface, that we didn't mention. Your bio, I yelled at her, guys, right before this. I'm like, Natasha, this is not your bio. You are an accomplished professional. You have a professional degree or license,
Yeah.
and unpracticing attorney. You are, what was the other one I was just thinking? Oh, more recently, you are a diversity, equity, and inclusion leader.
Yeah.
And that is a space where I've seen and heard you do some amazing things for the company you work for. And also, that's been your whole mission anyway in
Yeah.
what you do.
Yeah.
Tell me what, as you feel now, being a mom, we totally didn't plan this whole mom conversation, but I'm
No,
I'm leaning
totally like
into it.
brand
Right?
like spanking new. Yeah.
Right. I'm totally leaning into it because I find it. I know my thoughts and my struggles
Mhm.
and journey, and you as the CEI expert, coaching organizations and others to embrace it, to understand it, and to
Yeah.
correct it. Where are you now with being a mom, and,
Mhm.
and how you approach the conversations of DEI?
Yeah. So, diversity, equity, and inclusion is a space where it's constantly, it's a moving target, right? In the sense that you can always learn more. There's new terminology, there's new methodologies that are available to be able to have these uncomfortable conversations, because that's really what we're talking about, guys. Whether we're talking about unconscious bias, implicit bias, if we're talking about the difference between equality versus equity and what that looks like in corporate America. These are challenging conversations because you're challenging a group of people to try to see past a normative that they don't want to, and or have never been challenged to do that before. And as a mother, I'm deeply invested in the process of having companies be able to look at their their hiring practices, or the diversity in their workforce, and really understand the importance of bringing on marginalized voices and having talent that comes from a different pool that maybe they didn't pull from before, because I'm going to be having and creating, right, a person who's going to go into this workforce and maybe might be denied even the opportunity to interview because of his name, or the idea of is this person a good culture fit, right? Because culture fit is important, but it somehow seems to be more challenging depending upon what the community is, or the person, the candidate that's involved. So I would just say even more motivated and determined to make sure that companies continue to do the right thing, because to your point earlier, with George Floyd being murdered the way that he was, and it really lighting the world on fire, right? Seeing protests, here and foreign, uh, companies really are like, oh, you guys are really suffering out there. Yes, and
Uh-huh.
literally,
Uh-huh.
So, companies are even more being more transparent. So I think
Yeah.
it's a really challenging time to be alive, but it's also really exciting because there's a lot of growth. There's a lot of companies who are like, okay, well, we want to do DEI, but what does that look like for us? And
Right.
having leaders and thought leaders be able to come in and work the magic that is of getting people to say, hey, what's your deficiency and how do we create a baseline of what we want and what are we going to do to get there? And hell or high water, we got to get there.
Right. And HerSuiteSpot, may I add, and the HerRise Conference is a great opportunity for organizations.
Yes.
We have some amazing sponsors that have joined and partnered with us for this year's conference. Shout out to InvestNet, who has sponsored the event, and one of our fireside chats with the head of innovation, Danny Fava over at InvestNet will be joining us for a great fireside chat. We have AT&T, who is totally supportive of advancing digital, the digital gap, and is fully invested in making change so that underrepresented communities we begin to close that gap. And we have Jacqueline Gathers of Pillar to Post, who is a champion of women going into trades that they otherwise wouldn't think of. She's a franchise owner of a home inspection company and is really taking the lead in educating women about the industry to get more women in that industry. So we're so excited to have her back again as a sponsor. And we have National Grid leader in, right? National for the National Grid, y'all. And they are coming back to support us and sponsor the pitch competition. I'm so excited to be back for the HerRise Conference again with the pitch competition. We are going to have 3 amazing women pitch their businesses for an opportunity to share in $5,000. And so more news to come with that in the next couple of days. And so it's really an exciting time to be a woman, of color.
Absolutely.
And HerSuiteSpot and HerRise Conference is really positioning ourselves to be a supporter and a champion of this time for women.
And shout out to Lane Bryant, a new sponsor.
Yes, oh my God, the newest and latest sponsor, Lane Bryant is coming on board and has signed up to be a sponsor. We'll be sponsoring one of our morning workout sessions. You can join us for the conference, get a workout in, get your personal and professional development. At HerSuiteSpot, my 4 pillars are the 4 pillars that I believe that every woman should subscribe to and live by are mindset, money, marketing, and media. And so we transfer all of that, all of the resources and all of the tools in my tool belt, and we put that together for an amazing 2-day experience. And this year it is virtual, but we still have those networking opportunities. You still have an opportunity to engage with our sponsors and some small business vendors that will be in the building, in the virtual building. So guys, if you're ready to advance, if you're ready to end the year strong, planning for your future advancement, join us for the eighth annual HerRise Conference. You can go to our website, HerSuiteSpot.com, to get information on how and where to register. Natasha, before we leave, I want you to drop some gems and really give advice to everyone watching on what is the best advice you were given before before becoming a mom?
Ooh. That's interesting.
Well, I told you to sleep, honey, and you didn't sleep.
I mean, I think you and I actually talked about it, and I think I applied kind of what you told me, which is the fact that like motherhood doesn't come in one way or doesn't have to be in alignment with what other people think, whether it's the in-laws or your own mom or, grandparents, aunties, that you got to find your own way to this. And I think for me, that really resonated for me because, as you know, I am super opinionated and it doesn't get easier when you have a kid, right? Because you're like, what? Like you become like this like really angry person. But I think for me, I've made it crystal clear. I've written it and said it multiple times. Motherhood is not a democracy. I am not out here entertaining opinions and taking a vote at the end, guys. No, absolutely not.
That's right.
The two people who brought the child into the life are the people who need to decide what's going on. And obviously, every child and every parenting experience is different. So if you have additional requirements or you need professional help or whatever, obviously get the resources and tools you need, but just know that like you can do this and that you are not waiting permission to be the mom that someone else is expecting you to be, but you need to be the mom that you want to be. And for me, it's been clear what I didn't get in my own childhood, and for me, I'm just really enjoying the opportunity to love on my son and to empower him and let him know how proud I am of him. And I'm about to cry and just how amazing he is, and I just feel very lucky to have him in my life. So.
And you are lucky, and he is doubly lucky. Khalil is super lucky. We have Marsha McNair, who just said, love this conversation. Grandma to said little boy.
Yeah.
So we thank you for watching, Marsha. We appreciate you for joining us today. Guys, you know how I like to end each show.
With me crying. Thank you.
What was that?
With me in tears crying. Jesus, Marsha.
That's a good look. Ratings, honey. Ratings.
It would be like she lost it on the live stream. That's fantastic.
I love it. But when we empower each other, we all rise. So thank you for watching, and bye-bye for now. Hope to see you at the HerRise Conference. Go to HerSuiteSpot.com to register yourself. And you know what? If you are a DEI professional or no one, send the conference over to your company, because you will love the things that you walk away with.
Yes.
Bye-bye for now, everyone.
Thanks for joining us this week on the HerSuiteSpot experience. Make sure to visit our website, www.HerSuiteSpot.com. That's her, SUITE, spot.com, where you can become a member of our growing community and get great content for your life and business. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. We are your strategic partners to grow your business.